tariffs are going to hurt American workers. If we try to get involved in tit for tat on tariffs, it would only hurt our economy.
Well, where to begin? Penny, your first thoughts on everything we've heard in the last few days on this subject?
Well, Europe needs to wake up, and Britain needs to wake up. It's an easy thing to pretend otherwise, but unless we give Ukraine security guarantees backed up by European hard power, then we are going to be facing a conflict again in the future, and it will be our children that pay the price. I mean, this is a moment for Europe to recognize what is at stake. You must have something that deters Russia from future action that it has already alluded to that it is going to do.
Aren't you letting America off the hook, though?
Here at the moment.
Aren't you letting America off the hook, Penny?
No, I'm not. I mean, I think it is in America's interest that it is involved in the security of Europe, directly in its interest. It has no interest in not being the prime influencer power in Europe. It has a role to play. But the reality of the situation for us, for Britain and Europe, given what the United States has done, we still have a choice. And if you want to ensure that Ukraine is at the negotiating table, and you want to ensure that we have influence in what happens next, what are you going to bring to the table?
Right.
And we need to wake up.
Let's put that to...
Power, the threat of hard power is required.
Right, let's put that to Jonathan Ashworth. We need to wake up.
Well, I don't think anyone is asleep, but these are very big questions and very big trade-offs that are being contemplated here. Look, everybody wants to see peace. Everyone wants to see an end to that brutal war and an end to the bloodshed. I mean, everyone agrees that any deal has to involve Ukraine, and it is up to them as to what deal they accept or they don't accept.
Well, Jonathan, you say no one's asleep, but if you look at Fraser Nelson's figures on UK defence spending and what we have at our disposal compared to what we used to have, then arguably the UK has been asleep.
Well, hang on, but this is the point, isn't it? It's easy to say, we're not doing our bit, we need to wake up, right? That implies big decisions about where we put our troops and where we put our men and women in terms of peacekeeping. It implies big decisions about expenditure. Look, I, like everybody, want to see an increase in defence expenditure. I want to see it at 2.5%, and I obviously want to see a defence expenditure which properly safeguards and keeps this country safe. But we can't just sort of glibly say deliver it. I mean, there's a reason why, and I don't make this as a partisan point, there is a reason why the previous government didn't get there. The reason is because this involves a lot of money. Therefore, you've got to take big decisions about the balance of tax and spend.
Penny, you're being glib, and there's big decisions here that you didn't take when you were in power.
Well, I've listened to a lot of speeches at the Munich Security Conference, and a lot of people are echoing the US president's phrase, peace through strength. That requires strength. What that phrase is talking about is a deterrent, something that is going to stop aggressors doing what they want to do. And Europe has to recognize that unless it has a deterrent, it is going to be facing exactly the same situation and probably worse in short order. We need to wake up. We need to spend more on our own defense. We need to make sure that we're looking after our own neighborhood. And if we do that, I think we will have a more positive response from the United States, whose interests are to make sure that we have a free and secure Ukraine.
I mean, I don't disagree with spending more on defence. I mean, absolutely, I think it's important. I also think it's important for our industrial base in this country. But, there is no magic money tree. If a government spends more on defence, it either has to tax more or spend less somewhere else. And politicians have to engage in those trade-offs in an honest way.
Penny?
And we need to hurry up about it. I'm all for having a smaller state, for government doing what only it can do and letting others do what they can do. But we are at a key moment now for our defence, also our security and national resilience. We need to wake up and recognise that. If we do not, the price our children are going to pay in the future is going to be a very heavy one indeed.
Well, let's move on to a related subject. Well, it's remaining in the White House, basically. And that's that last night, Donald Trump signed a memorandum announcing plans to impose the exact same tax or tariff on all imports as other countries apply on U.S. imports.
The reciprocal makes tariffs really fair. And they say this is going to be the thing that makes our country really prosperous again. And this is going to be what pays down to $36 trillion in debt and all the other things. And this is going to be, this is an amazing day. I think this is going to be a very big day and in a very positive way for our country. You know, we think the European Union is wonderful. We all love Europe, love the countries in Europe. But European Union has been absolutely brutal on trade.
Well, Peter Navarro, Trump's senior counselor for trade, said afterwards that VAT was being considered by the administration as a tax on imports that President Trump is no longer willing to tolerate, which could put the UK in the firing line. Jonathan Ashworth, your party has been sort of pretty softly on this issue of tariffs so far. Isn't it time to step up and have a few words?
I mean, I don't think a trade war and imposing tariffs is ever in the interest of your economy. There's a reason why there's been a broad consensus for some years around free trade and free trade agreements. Tariffs are going to hurt American workers. If we try to get involved in tit for tat on tariffs, it would only hurt our economy. And I'm interested in policies and proposals that would actually grow the economy, strengthen our economy, so our economy thrives. I've never believed that tariffs and tit for tat trade wars around tariffs helps your economy and helps your economy thrive.
So if Donald Trump does slap a tariff on, well, if he attacks VAT, basically, are you not going to retaliate then? You'll just let it happen?
Well, I hope through the representations and that our ministers will always be making to the US government, we're not in that situation. But I don't believe that going down the road of tit for tat, putting tariffs on different goods here and there, ever works out in the end. I'm a supporter of free trade, and although it's curious now that lots of figures on the right are now changing their position on free trade, now they've seen that what Donald Trump has said. But look, I think in the end, the economy thrives when you have trade deals and trade agreements between countries.
Penny, I think that was a little dig at you.
It wasn't a dig at Penny, not remotely.
No, Jonathan wouldn't dare. No, I am a card-carrying member of the We Love Free Trade Club. It is the most powerful tool we have to lift people out of poverty, and I shall long champion it. But I think I think Pat McFadden actually had the sort of best answer to this, which is I paraphrase it for your listeners. We don't know what this means. We don't know if it will happen, and we don't know what to do about it if it does. And I think that sort of sums up the situation at the moment.
But you back that, do you? The sort of indecision, lack of action from the government on this?
We don't really know what the policy is. I mean, there's been lots of speculation as to what it does actually mean, and trying to think about what the US is viewing VAT as a consumption tax. So they're trying to view it as some sort of subsidy that we're giving to business. But it is very confusing at the moment. So I would just say
hold fire.
Don't panic. Let's see what comes to pass, but it is not clear what the US is intending.
Well, we're getting a lot of messages coming in on the previous topic. We were talking about Ukraine and the US, and I guess the end of the Pax Americana. I want to put one message to each of you. Jonathan, Mike Mitchell has messaged in saying there's a lot of bedwetting going on today as a result of Trump and Vance doing ... exactly what they said they'd do. Jonathan rightly says this will cost a lot of money, but it's Labour's responsibility to get on with it, not bellyache over the last government or anyone else. Can you respond to Mike for me, please, Jonathan?
Mike, stop bedwetting about me bellyaching, Mike, is what I say to you. In all seriousness, look, now I have the advantage of having some distance from parliamentary politics. I'm just really making the point that I'm in favour. I want to see the defence expenditure increase, both for our reasons of national security, and it's actually good for jobs and industry in this country as well. So it's a good industrial policy. But that has implications for the other decisions that governments have to make when it comes to tax and spend. And I think politicians just have to be clear about those trade-offs.
Well, fair's fair. I put the bedwetting to you, Jonathan. I'm going to put a rather sadder comment from James Thomas to you, Penny. Ukraine, he says, it's sad, but without military support from the USA, Ukraine would lose to Russia. Europe neither has the money or military capacity to fill the gap. Time for peace. Then help Ukraine modernise its armed forces to prevent a further war. Penny, what do you make of that? Is it realistic?
Well, look, for the last 3 years, we have been giving Ukraine equipment. Europe did do more than it has done in more years gone by to help Ukraine, but it's not enough. It's not been enough. And my question is to commentators who are saying that the security guarantee should be that we just arm Ukraine. I would say, well, how's that worked out over the last few years? And although this kind of talk, I understand it is scary for people, but unless you back up what you say with hard power, unless you can replicate the kind of guarantees that NATO gives, if Russia does this, then we're all out the door. Right. Unless you do that, you are going to face future conflicts. Mm-hmm. You have to have strong deterrence. And if you do that and you invest in it, then peace prevails.
Right, well, stay tuned because we've got lots more to talk about, including Rachel Reeves and Kemi Badenoch's separate woes. Both of them have troubles that I want to get your views on, so stay tuned for that.